name's Mike Anderson. Thanks for the opportunity to talk. I want to just set my watch here because I got 5 minutes and I don't want to go over 10. So, you know, they say you're supposed to tell some kind of joke when you start talking, but I realize that there's cameras on. I better not tell any of my jokes. I don't want that end up on YouTube. All right, so I got a small farm in the eastern side of Delaware County in Sunbury. We've had a certified organic farm started in the year 2000. We do raise specialty crops, and one of the first things we did when we bought the property was to put up a high tunnel like this, very similar to the size she's describing. Like I said, we are certified organic. I gotta argue with what Chef Jay said about organic production. There are a number of different agencies that certify farms. It's the same standard across the country. It's a USDA standard. If you buy organic product, you can buy that with confidence that it has met the USDA definition of organic. I would argue that the term natural doesn't have a meaning, but organic has a very well-defined legal definition. And I would encourage people to look at the USDA's National Organic Program website to learn more about that. Okay, so aside from that, we raise a whole range of specialty crops: tomatoes, a range of vegetables, melons, cucumbers, fruit, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, fresh cut flowers. We've raised tomatoes in a high tunnel like this, and I can say that I agree with Denise that it does provide much higher yields. The ground under our high tunnel is far and away the most profitable ground on our farm. We raise about 400 tomato plants in that every year. We get almost 10 pounds of tomatoes from each plant, and we've been able to do that about 8 years in a row. It is a fantastic way for specialty crop producers to produce an earlier crop at the market. We're selling all of our produce through farmers markets and through small natural food stores. We're often one of the first farmers to arrive at the market with tomatoes because they're coming out of our high tunnel. People are anxious for tomatoes. If you have tomatoes, 4th of July is usually when we start selling them. If you have tomatoes at that time before other competitors there, people are going to buy them. If they're good quality, then they're going to stay with you throughout the whole season. So it not only helps you sell the crops that you have growing in there, but it helps you build a market for all of your field crops that will follow that. People find something they like at the market and they'll continue to buy it. So for us, that's been tremendously beneficial to have that. There's a whole range of other crops that OSU Extension at the South Centers and in Worcester are raising in these. People are raising strawberries, people are raising blackberries, raspberries. There's high tunnel growers in England that are raising sweet cherry trees under these. Joe Kovach, important crop science professor at the OARDC, has been raising peaches, apple trees, blueberries, strawberries, a whole range of fruit. And he's trialing these in his polyculture system under high tunnels like this or in the field. And the way he describes it is growing in a protected environment like this is like growing in California. Someone asked about the pesticide use. It's very difficult to raise an organic apple in Ohio because of the moisture and the humidity and the disease pressure. But under a high tunnel like this, he describes it as being a growing situation like California, where he can raise fruit that is otherwise pesticide intensive under a high tunnel like this. It reduces pest incidence in there, it reduces disease pressure in there, it dramatically improves the quality of the crop that you're raising in there, it improves the yield of the crop that you're raising in there, and there's, like I said, a range of different crops that can be raised under there. Chef Jay mentioned some crops even have better flavor in there if you have spinach in there growing in the winter. And there are a lot of producers that are raising leafy greens in the wintertime in high tunnels like this. I think this is a tremendous opportunity for specialty crop producers to improve the profitability of their operation, access markets a little bit earlier in the season, and really realize a lot better return from the acreage that's under high tunnels like this. That's all I wanted to say. If anybody's got any questions, I have still a couple minutes. Might have to bring out one of my jokes.
When was the researcher at OSU that's growing fruit crops?
Joe Kovach is at the OARDC, and he's been doing the fruit work There's Professor Matt Kleinheinz also at the OIRDC, who's been leading the high tunnels development that OSU's done. Brad Burgeford at the OSU South Centers. He's been looking at this new strawberry plasticulture system in a high tunnel like this. I do have some presentations from those OSU extension agents from workshops that I've gone to before. So if anyone wants more detailed, specific information, I have some handouts that I can share.
In Toledo, David Beck with SIFT, Center for Innovative Food Technology, he has been working with a hospital there with these high tunnel facilities, and it has provided tremendous therapy for people to go in there and pick their own vegetables or their fruits or whatever for their meals, and it has just proved to be enormously unusual but very helpful.
It's just, wonderful to walk into one of these tunnels when this time of year, if you have lettuce and spinach growing in there and there's snow on the ground outside, you walk in, it's 55 or 60 degrees just from the ambient light, and it's just a wonderful feeling. Smell, the whole, it's just great. Sir?
Denise mentioned that it was a 2-month extension to the growing season of these high. What is the growing season?
Well, it depends on what you're planting in there. We normally put tomatoes in on April 1st, and then we'll keep those in there through the end of November. In the past, we have raised, that's approximately six weeks earlier than we put them in the field. Some growers that are a little better at this will do that earlier and do it later. You can raise spinach or leafy greens throughout the winter time. So you can basically raise crops for 12 months a year in a high tunnel like this. There's a author, Elliot Coleman, who's written a book called The Four-Season Harvest. He's a Maine grower who's been raising a whole range of crops year-round in Maine. So certain crops will grow all year in a high tunnel.
Any thoughts why the high tunnel phenomenon is a bigger thing? If you grow all year, you'd think everyone would be, you'd have plenty of these things in operation already. Is this just sort of an emerging technology or idea?
I honestly don't know. I think that there's been people in the land-grant universities who've been looking into this and starting to document the benefits of this, and so that's generating interest in it. The high tunnel itself, at least from my perspective, has been very profitable for the season extension of the tomatoes. We've grown sweet bell peppers and fresh cut flowers in it. I haven't figured out a way to do the greens profitably all year, farming in this time of year. Other growers who are better at that have been able to, but certainly in terms of stretching the season, it's great. And I can't say why it's happening now.
Probably would work with conventional farming, where it's a large monoculture. It works for small specialty growers.
But it works great also for specialty crop farmers who are conventional farmers. It's not unique to organic production. This is a technology that's well suited for any kind of specialty crop production. And I actually feel like if you have a grain farm and you have family members who want to get into farming and are limited by land or access to capital, this is a fantastic way for young people to start a profitable enterprise on a small amount of land. And I think it has a lot of potential in that regard as well.
What are some of the management issues of it in terms of the cost and the planning, and also weather problems with wind and snow?
Well, I think the cost is generally somewhere between $2 to $3.50 per square foot, depending on how how heavy they are. We've had ours. I know that the new EQIP practice requires that the plastic be taken off at the end of the year to protect it from snow load. We've kept our plastic on and just been diligent about sweeping the snow off, so we've never had a problem with the collapse. Even in the blizzard of 2008 and this past February, where we have near record snowfall, we've been able to keep it cleared. I know that other houses like this that aren't continuously cleared can collapse, but as far as management problems, it's really not too many. You have a moderate initial investment and almost immediate return on that investment.
Can you talk about, you've been using this high tunnel, do you move it from location to location? Are you growing in the same soil year after year after year?
Yes, ours is in the same ground year after year after year, so we've
What
been
are you
raising
doing
the same crops.
in the way of cover crops or disease prevent, like if you're growing your tomatoes year after year on
Right.
that same place, that's
Right.
not, normally what people do.
Not normally what people would do in the field, but in a protected environment like this, it's a little bit more common because
Well-
you want to have a real high value crop in that, because that, you can really take advantage of that protected area. So you have to do things, if you're a conventional farmer, there are, approved fungicides to use that can help you deal with that pressure. We use cultural controls, compost and other kinds of keeping good air circulation, watching how we water things, maybe trying to keep the foliage as dry as possible. Basically, we rely on those kind of cultural
Okay,
things.
so you
Now
are-
we're getting into grafting, using the new grafting technology to get over some of these disease problems.
You're grafting your tomatoes?
Yeah.
So you're like keeping your rootstock of
So-
your tomatoes and grafting?
Well, yeah, so we're using disease-resistant rootstock.
Right.
And so this is another technology that the people who did the high tunnels at Ohio State now are providing a lot of good information on. So that's one of the ways. Brian also mentioned, I forgot to refer to the wind problem. And most of these lower profile houses of the size like this, 20 by 100, 20 by 108, as long as the plastic is securely affixed, the wind is not a problem. Just on the one day when you're actually putting the plastic on, the wind is important. But once it's attached, it's good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I hope you'll be available to answer a few more questions if anybody has them. in the
Sure,
next
and like I
little
said, I
while.
have a lot of these handouts for people that are interested if they'd like extra copies.
Oh, great. Thank you.